Good afternoon. I'd like to call the SolTrans Board meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are you going to call Mayor Hernandez?
Yeah. This meeting will be conducted in compliance with AB 2449 to allow Board Member Hernandez to attend remotely due to agency travel. In compliance with that law, in the unlikely event that there are any technological issues at Vallejo City Hall that impede remote attendance for the general public, the meeting must be immediately shut down and no further business may continue. And we must take roll call attendance and roll call votes. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll and confirm a quorum?
Thank you, Chair. Director Hernandez, have you joined?
Through the chair, Director Hernandez has not joined yet.
Director Young? Yes. Director Gordon?
Yes.
Chair Scott?
Yes.
Vice Chair Source? Here. Director Mashburn? Here. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have any statements of conflict from any board members? Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Unless there are any additions, deletions, or objections, I will move the approval of the agenda. Second. We have a second. Please call the roll.
Yeah, since Mayor Hernandez has not yet joined the meeting,
Right.
we can move on with just, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. This is the opportunity for public comment on any matter not on the agenda but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the SolTrans Board. SolTrans' board welcomes public comment on matters within our jurisdiction and authority, but strongly denounces hate speech, obscenity, and disruptive behavior in meetings. Disruptive individuals will be admonished and removed from the meeting. Manny, would you please start our sign-up clock for public comment? Madam Clerk, will you read the public comment notice?
Thank you, Chair. Members of the public wishing to speak may sign up at the kiosk in the back of the council chamber if you haven't done so. Public attending on Zoom or by phone, on Zoom may click the raise hand icon. On phone, press *9 to comment. At the conclusion of our 2-minute sign-up period, those that have registered in person will be called up in registration order, followed by those on Zoom and phone. While this is the opportunity for any items not on the agenda, there will also be opportunity to comment on items on the agenda at the time that those are heard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Manny, do we have any persons wishing to speak under general public comment?
Through the chair, yes, we do have 2 speakers in person that would like to speak. First speaker, Marisela Barbosa, followed by Linda B.
Please start the clock.
Hi.
You can lower
Lower down. Oh, down here, yeah. So we might go over a minute, so I really appreciate if you can let us. So, good afternoon, buenas tardes. My name is Marisela Barbosa. I am the Executive Director of the Time is Yet Network, a Latino-led nonprofit dedicated to empowering communities through education, civic engagement, and leadership. Through support from the MTC Care Power Building and Engagement Initiative, we launched the A Poderosas, a 6-month leadership and civic engagement program that brings together Latina youth and adult women to learn about transportation, housing, local government, and community advocacy. Today, our A Poderosas have would like to share brief remarks with you. And we just want to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak today and taking the time to hear our voices.
Good afternoon. My name is Samantha, and I'm one of the Ocho Poderosas. On behalf of our cohort, I would like to thank Mayor Alma Hernandez for taking the time to speak with us during one of our leadership sessions. Her presentation helped us better understand how transportation decisions are made, how the Solano Transportation Authority works, and how community members can have a voice in improving transportation. Thank you for inspiring us to become more informed and engaged leaders in our community.
Good afternoon. My name is Sharon. I am also one of the Ocho Poderosas. I would like to share that one of our fellow Eight Poderosas wanted to be here, but she relies on public transportation, but unfortunately she's not able to be here because of the time of the meeting. So as we continue working to improve transportation for our community, we encourage you to consider holding some meetings at times where people are more able to attend, who depend on public transportation, who commit from other towns. Small changes like this could make it easier for community members to participate and have their voices heard. Thank you for listening and considering this. Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Ana, and I am one of the Poderosas. I would like to personally invite all of you to join us for our community project presentations on September 17 at 5:30 p.m. at the Time is Yet Network office, 425 Virginia Street. We will be sharing the projects we've been working on to improve transportation and housing in our community. We will be sending each of you an invitation soon, and we hope you can join us to support our work and celebrate our journey as Poderosas. Thank you.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Juliana, soy una de las 8 poderosas. También quisiera invitarlos a que nos acompañen en nuestra ceremonia de graduación de las 8 poderosas, que se llevará a cabo el día 8 de octubre a las 6 p.m. Joseph Room. Será una noche muy especial en la que celebraremos todos los que hemos aprendido habilidades de liderazgo que hemos desarrollado e impactado, esperemos sigan generando en nuestras comunidades. Esperemos contar con su presencia para celebrar esta importante logros. Muchas gracias.
Hi, this is the translation that you just said. I would also like to invite all of you to join us for the Poderosas graduation celebration on October 8 at 6 p.m. in the Joseph Room. It will be a special evening as we celebrate everything we have learned, the leadership skills we develop, and the impact we hope to make in our communities. We hope you would join us to celebrate this important milestone with us. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I have all these mixed emotions being back here. I don't come here back often. So this group of participants have been learning so much, and we're so glad that we have the opportunity to present this to you, but we want to make sure that you come to our graduation. You know, civic engagement is so important, and unfortunately, not too many people participate. So thank you to Marisela Barbosa and the Time is Ya for putting together this program. And we have 8 people right now, but we're going to continue to do this so that there more and more people understand transportation issues, housing issues, how a meeting works in the city council meeting works, how your meeting works. So again, thank you so much. You will receive an invitation, and we look forward to seeing all of you there, and you'll be seeing a lot of us. Thank you.
Thank you all, and just wanted to thank you all. I'm sorry. Yes, please.
Could someone repeat the graduation date and time?
Could you
What was
supply
the
the
date for
clerk?
the
Yeah, graduation date and time, Marisela?
October 8th?
And we will send an email to everybody with the invitation, as well as for the project, which is September 17th. We have a transportation and a housing project that they are working on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your interest in public government, transportation, housing, and being part of the community. Manny?
Thank you, Chair. Next speaker, Linda B. And then following Linda B, we do have a speaker online, Gordon Hanson.
Good afternoon, board members, SolTrans, TransDev Management. I'm here on behalf of all the drivers at SolTrans at 1850 Broadway. We've got a big issue going on. Early in the morning, we're having people hanging out front. We're talking about 2:33 in the morning. I just had to replace 4 tires on my car. 4 tires. 2 nails were put straight into the tire by Les Schwab. We've had cars keyed. When I first got my car, my license plates were stolen. I spoke to Ray. Remember when that happened, Ray? When I first bought my new car last year, my license plates were stolen out front. We've had Cadillac converters trying to be stolen out front. I'm not saying it's because they put the navigation center down from us, but we've got savory people hanging out. The lighting needs to be brighter. We need more cameras at the north end of the building. Because we pull up, and we're kind of scared sometimes. There was a guy sitting up by the front door. When we start coming down the driveway, he goes behind the bushes. Gil goes out there by himself to approach these. You don't know what's going to happen to him approaching him by himself. And unfortunately, we don't have a good rapport with PD to get there in time to assist. We had one lady standing there at 3 in the morning waiting for an 8 o'clock bus. So this is what we're having right there. We need brighter lights. That's all we're asking for is brighter lights, please. Because I can't afford. I put cameras on my car today. That cost me $300. $1,500 last week for tires. My camera that I bought was $200. I spent $2,000, 2-week paycheck that I work hard for. And it's not just me. I've been there 21 years, and it's not getting any better. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And Beth is hearing, and we will get back, especially on that lighting issue. Thank you. Manny?
Thank you, Chair. Next speaker, Gordon Hanson. Please unmute yourself. You have the floor.
Great. Thank you so much. Hey, everyone. This is Gordon Hanson, and I am a project manager of the Regional Mapping and Wayfinding Project at MTC. I had the opportunity to present on our project in collaboration with SolTrans and SolTrans staff earlier this year. I'm very happy to report that we've made significant progress with the team to be able to, alongside the service restructure going live August 2nd, to be able to feature the new bus stop design that has been vetted and approved with consensus from all 19 bus agencies around the region. Before I talk about and extol the virtues of the bus stop sign, I want to highlight the collaboration that we've had with SolTrans staff and leadership. It's taking a big risk to implement a new design, albeit one that we feel very strongly will make transit easier to find and easier to understand, both in Vallejo, Benicia, across the county, and eventually across the region. But it's a big risk nonetheless, and we really appreciate and value the partnership of SolTrans in taking this important step. So kudos to staff for working with us, not just during the development process alongside other agencies, but working very closely together to ensure that the artwork that MTC has provided to enable these signs to be installed truly meets your needs and expectations for all of the new routes that are going into service. So again, very, very appreciative and happy, very excited to see the new signs in place, starting to go up soon and again, launching on the 2nd, and looking forward to celebrating with you all in person sometime soon. So again, really appreciate the partnership, the assistance, and really looking forward to the fruits of our labors together.
Thank you, Gordon. Clearly, I think every member up here recognizes how important the relationship is and the collaboration is with MTC. And the signs look great, and we're really happy to be a partner on this. So with that, we'll close out public comment, and we'll move over to the Executive Director's report. Beth?
Great, thank you. We have a presentation, Manny. Okay, next slide. Youth ridership has dipped in the month of June just because school is out, but it's still higher than it has been in the past, so that's still good news. Next slide. We participated in both the Vallejo and Benicia Independence Day parades, and we also came in 2nd place in the Benicia Torchlight Parade, so that's good. Next slide. We ran in partnership with Benicia Main Street, we ran a special service for the city of Benicia, and this is the first time we transported almost 100 people on that route. So that is a new record for us, so we're happy to do that. Next slide. We did celebrate 707 Day at VTC, so we gave out coffee and donuts and had music going, and community partners were there with us. We will be operating the Benicia Waterfront weekend shuttle. It'll be the same route as we did for the Torchlight Parade. It's actually Saturday and Sunday, July 25th and 26th, not the 26th, 27th. So I hope people will take advantage of this. Next slide. The redesign is still coming soon. We're getting ready for it. Everybody's been training really hard for this, so looking forward to it. And then finally, we haven't finished the Q4 reports yet, but I wanted to report that we continue to see modest growth in most of the areas here. So locals moving up, express is moving up, ADA is moving up. School is a little bit down, but that's because of routing on Route 17. But overall, it's continued improvement month over month. And with that, I can answer any questions you may have.
Are there any board members who would like to ask the executive director a question or comment?
I'll ask this
Mayor?
now because it's probably of interest to the whole board. Could you or someone, Mandy or someone, send us the graphics, that and the other graphics you have for the service changes?
Yes.
And links and stuff so we can help disseminate that out through our cities and channels?
Yep,
Thank you.
absolutely.
And the question that I had along kind of that line was, why the dip?
We think where people are living is changing, and the demographics in Benicia are changing, as you know. Children, there's not as many kids as there were, especially on the Rose Drive area. So things are changing. We want to look at that, and we're looking at redesigning some of the school routes to better fit. We're waiting to hear from the school district to see where these kids are living so we could better route school trippers for them.
So you have reached out to the school
Yep.
district and, okay, excellent.
Yep.
And the other thing is, could we get copies of the logo and the schedule for the Waterfront Festival in particular? So we can put it on our sites?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we'll move over to proclamations and presentations, which we have none. We will then move over to the consent calendar. The next item is the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be adopted in one motion unless a request for removal or explanation is received from a board member. Items removed from the consent calendar shall be considered immediately following adoption of the consent calendar. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment on the consent calendar?
Through the chair, no speakers signed up at this time.
There are two items on the consent calendar, to be clear. It is the board meeting minutes of June 18th, and it's the authorization for the executive director to renew the contract with Trans Track Solutions Group. So if there,
I'll second it.
we have a move to approve, and we have a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We are done with the consent calendar, and we will move on to the regular agenda, which is 8A, action items, the intercity transit funding and cost-sharing agreement, Solano Express. Beth and Bernadette.
Yeah, I'll start us
Tag
off.
team.
So in front of you tonight is the first amendment to the intercity funding agreement, and we are already into this fiscal year, and we can live with this agreement for this year. However, we really need to discuss how to move forward with an agreement that works better for all of the partners involved. We've started some conversations, and I don't know, Bernadette, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, as Beth said, we're already into the term of this agreement, the term of the amendment that was presented to us late without any discussion or opportunity to provide feedback with regards to the changing of the terms. So in consultation, we decided, as Beth said, since we're already in the fiscal year, the STA board has already approved the COA and the changes that are coming forward in August, in just a mere short 2 weeks, that we would recommend approval of the amendment. But what we're seeking today is direction on how to move forward on the approach to the intercity transit funding agreement. As we had a robust discussion with regards to Route 82, and we, I hope, had shared with you some of the constraints associated with how the process works, and that it requires a lot of pre-lifting on behalf of the agency, only then to then present it to STA's consortium and then STA's TAC before it gets to the STA board, at which point in time changes are either behind schedule here at SolTrans or there are disagreements and we're back to square one. So we're looking for direction, we're looking for input on next steps, and then what our recommendation is that we would then go back to consortium and our funding partners to properly explain to them what the constraints are. We're not trying to eliminate their participation, but what the suggestion is actually to reorder when they provide input such that any changes to the system are discussed at the beginning with our funding partners, and then once the implementation is ready to go, that this board then has the authority to move that forward and take final action. So with that,
Thank you. I just would make one first comment, and I'll turn it over to Supervisor Mashburn. We heard from STA that they want to understand clearly what are the goals, what are measurable, how we will put those metrics into place, how we will approach that. We heard that we need to quantify what the mission is and how we see the mission moving forward. And we also have heard that there are some perhaps opportunities within the way that the intercity transit funding mechanism works that need to be clarified as to who and why people are making approvals or being involved and at what levels for decision making, because I think one of the things that we heard was that there's multiple levels of decision making, and we have to recognize how that pathway can be more efficient and more effective for both STA and SolTrans, and then the various agencies that are part of the intercity agreement. So with that, I'll turn it over to Supervisor Mashburn.
Did I turn this thing on? Yeah, I'm there. All right. Well, I think that we do need to do this, but I think we're putting the cart before the horse because we're about to have a meeting of both boards together to give policy direction to staff, right? And at that time, that's when you guys are going to get this is what we do and this is how we do it, because we're all going to be in the same room at the same time. And then you guys get to make the sausage, right, after that. But I don't think that it's really an action that we could take today because it's premature. Those boards need to meet, and I know that's upcoming, and it's upcoming very soon. So I would say that we need to wait until that meeting takes place, until those directions are given and that those decisions are made before we jump in and make decisions and do things without all of our partners.
Right. Thank you for that. Mayor
Yeah,
Brown?
I just want to agree with the supervisor. We have these joint meeting coming up. That would be the time to talk through this kind of cooperation issues that have been, plaguing us for a while. And that's the whole purpose of having this joint meeting. So I would make a motion to adopt the item today to sign the agreement for the next coming year, and then to postpone action on future activities, because I think this is the kind of thing that got us in problem before. We do what we want to do, STA does what they want to do. There's not a whole lot of cooperation or coordination and discussion. So I think we're on the right path, but this is not the time to put our issues out there in front of that meeting.
And that meeting is in late October, just a quick question. Late October, November, somewhere?
Well, we haven't set a date. I think it was going to be September, probably October is more likely.
Yeah, that's what I thought I heard. Before the motion, Mayor Soares?
Yeah, I was going to add maybe a friendly amendment, which is that I agree. I think the worry that I have is one of the other things that got us into trouble last time was the time was not on our side. So one of the things that I mentioned to Beth in our check-in was that I think we should be proactive from the SolTrans side and actually create the timeline for the implementation piece of SolTrans. So to say, you know, these are the hard deadlines when we need these things to take place, so that by the time we get in, almost as like preparatory materials for that workshop, and rather than us trying to presume we're going to take any direction, I do think it would be worth compiling relevant information and having it ready for that discussion. So my friendly amendment would be, let's not pause thinking about this. Let's prepare. Let's give direction to prepare some materials that we can use, and that the rest of the STA board as well can use to understand the process, so that we can talk through. You know, we've got fare changes later. What do we do? What is the process and timeline needed for route changes? What is the process and timeline needed for fare changes? What is the process and timeline needed for making budget decisions? Like, we need to do that all there and start there, but I would love to get some work done in the meantime, because what screwed us on the blue line was SolTrans did the work and it didn't get back in front of us in enough time, and then the timeline was screwed. So I'd like to just be proactive and not end up right back where we started with, like, oh, we have all these great ideas, but we've run out of time.
And I would accept the second for that. But I want to make sure that staff understands that what we bring has to be bulletproof. It has to be solid. It can't be something where when we're at the meeting, we say, oh, but wait, there's more. We can't be like a Ginsu commercial, right? You know, wait, there's more. You get this too. We got to have it all, and it's got to be exactly what we need. The timeline has to be exactly correct, so that we don't end up with surprises at the end. All of that has to be dialed in. If you say you need 3 months for this, when that group sets that in stone and says, hey, this is policy, we need this policy to say 3 months for this portion, better take 3 months, right?
Can you please clarify through the chair what we're actually voting on?
Well, we're voting on the adoption of the intercity funding and cost-sharing agreement with a friendly amendment to begin development of information that would aid in the discussion during the joint meeting in October or November, including an understanding of calendar and how long it takes in order to move steps from the SolTrans perspective. Is that a good assessment? Okay. All right, we have a motion, a friendly amendment, a second, and call the roll.
Roll call vote. This is Director Hernandez. Have you joined? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you. We are now moving over to item number 9A, which is the part of the non-action informational items. This is the fixed route fare information and potential fare changes, and we'll turn it over to Christina.
Good afternoon. I'm presenting information on fares and the need for fare changes. There was a lot of information in this report. The purpose of this report was to lay the groundwork to give you all the relevant information you will need to help assess giving us feedback at the next meeting and providing direction. We've long known we're overdue for a fare increase, especially on Solano Express, but the funding partners and staff decided we needed to wait until the COA was completed and the system redesign was implemented before we could go out and do additional public outreach and get public input on fare changes. But we do need to move forward now to ensure we can implement a change before the end of the fiscal year and make sure we can sustain our service. Okay, so in your packet, attachment A was the fare policy that this board actually developed and adopted back in 2015. There's 5 guiding principles for fare decisions in that process. They emphasizing encouraging ridership and growing ridership, establishing equitable fares that are fair to all, and to consider higher fares for premium services. Premium services are actually defined as anything that's not local service or complimentary paratransit service. So that would include paratransit service that goes above and beyond what we're required to offer, as well as commuter services. The policy emphasizes simplicity in fare structure and fare media options, and an assertion that our policy obviously should be supportive towards other agency goals and other regional and state and federal guidelines. Our policy complements MTC's regional fare coordination integration policy vision, which was developed after we adopted our policy. So it's great to see we're in line with the region. It also aligns very well with MTC's Transit Transformation Action Plan's goal for fares, which states that fares should be simpler, consistent, and equitable fare payment options to attract more riders. Okay, so past fare changes. I'll give you some historical context here. Our last fare change for local service was in 2019. It's when we increased the adult fare from $1.75 to $2. At that time, we were looking at doing a phased approach to implementing fares over every other year for a total of 5 years. For 3 increases, but then we had the pandemic and we opted to cancel the remaining 2 increases. Salon Express has not had an increase in the 15 years that we've been operating express service. The current adult one-way fare is $5. There was an intra-county fare introduced at $2.75 that was prior to the pandemic, to encourage a new segment of riders. And finally, the Route 82, in response to the pandemic and the ferry lowering their fares, was actually reduced from $10 to $6. So the only changes we've had on Express in the last 15 years is actually reduced fares. Okay, this chart, don't expect you to read all of this. It kind of gives you a visual of SolTrans fares in the first column versus peer agencies around us, as well as the ferry and the pertinent BART fares. The 4 major takeaways I want you to get from this slide is that SolTrans has a significant number of different fares as compared to our peers. I mean, you can see in that first column, there's a number in pretty much every box where most people don't have that many lines. Very few agencies run regional service over a bridge. I mean, we're basically comparing ourselves to AC Transit, which is just a little short distance for the most part. Same with WestCat. And then Napa does go over the bridge like we do to connect with BART. No one else offers a reduced fare to travel within the county on their express service. And SolTrans's local fare is actually the average of all of our neighboring agencies. So our local fare is right in the ballpark, right in the middle of what everybody else is charging. Bridge tolls. Okay, so one thing we are looking at when we are assessing what fare should we set on Salon Express is the bridge tolls. Bridge tolls have continued to increase over the years, and we have not moved our fare. Everybody knows RM3 went in place, and that was $3 over a 3-year period. And now we're in the phase where we're adding another 50 cents a year for the next 5 years until we hit $10.50. So, we're looking at how do we align our fares with how bridge tolls are increasing? Do we also do a phased approach to increasing fares? And we're using that cost as well as looking at what is the cost of travel if people don't take the bus and they were to drive, pay bridge tolls, or take the bus, then BART. How does that cost compare? So these are all things we're including in our analysis. So we also looked at the average fares that we're actually collecting right now. Pre-pandemic, we were collecting $1.18 on average. If you think about it, adults pay $2. However, the seniors, disabled, qualify for a reduced fare of $1. Anybody that qualifies for the low-income Clipper Start program also gets a discount. So the average fare is always going to be less than your adult one-way fare. Currently, our average fare has dropped to 87 cents. Express has dropped from $3.86 to $2.40. We're pretty certain there's multiple reasons for this. The mix of riders could have changed since the pandemic. It's possible that we have less full adult riders and more youth riding, more seniors, disabled riding, more low-income folks riding. I should note, actually, we did adjust this for the youth ridership because that's such a big part of our local service now. We backed out the youth riders to not skew the average collection. We also had the issues, as we know, we've talked many, many times about the issues to switching to the new Clipper system and the equipment issues we've had with our integration with our CAD AVL, or things not working or connecting and it not charging the correct fare or no fare at all. And then we also know there's people that just aren't paying their fare. And we're too small to have fare enforcement officers. So I think it's a combination, and we're working, we're working obviously with Clipper, we're obviously working to get people to start paying their fare. So if we hit from all angles, we're hoping to get this average up. All right, so we've been looking at our forecasted revenue needs. We did this when we did our 10-year forecast that we presented to the board back in March. Additional funds for local service would be very beneficial to the overall health of the system. However, incremental increases in local fares, if we were to add, say, a quarter, go up to $2.25 or $2.50, it's very small once you look at the average fare you're going to collect, multiplied by the number of riders. It ends up being a pretty small amount of money and really doesn't have a big impact on the budget, though every little bit helps. But then we also have to look at that and balance it with the fact that we are serving a very transit-dependent population, and how can we, best serve the rider? And is the 25 cents worth it to us, and would it do more harm to the rider than help us? One thing we are wanting to look at is premium services. We charge, our paratransit fare is double the adult fare. So right now, if you take a paratransit ride within Vallejo or Benicia and it's within our service area, they pay $4. If they're going to travel outside of our service area within Vallejo, let's say to Mare Island or Glen Cove, for instance, we could charge a higher fare for that. Additionally, if we were to travel outside of Vallejo or Benicia and cross a bridge to connect with Contra Costa County agencies, we could charge even a higher fare. So we're pulling together a lot of information on that. A lot of other agencies do this already. Express service is also a premium service, and we can set fares at whatever level we decide. And we've just talked about how those aren't keeping pace with inflation and increase in bridge tolls. Other considerations, so right now youth are riding free, and we have grant money to cover the lost revenue for 2 years. That money is going to run out at the end of this fiscal year. But right now youth ridership is up so much that it actually accounts for 25% of our local ridership, which is huge. Only about 8% of Solano Express is youth ridership, and they're also riding for free. That's something we can consider is keeping it free for local, but not necessarily on Solano Express. Another option we'll be looking at. However, the flip side of that is because our ridership has gone up, it's increased some of our metrics, which also allows us to compete for additional federal formula funds. So there is a benefit to that as well. The intra-county fare, that's something we should also look at and consider, mainly because not only does nobody else do this, and while there is a need to serve trips within the county, we got to figure out what was our priority for that service, and maybe that's something that'll come out of the two boards meeting and looking at what is the goal of commuter service in the county. But the other issue we have is that Clipper cannot charge different fares depending on your destination. So right now, if people want to pay the intra-county fare, they either have to pay cash or they can use the Token Transit app. And it's all on the honor system. So they're telling the driver, I'm only riding to this, when they get on in Fairfield, I'm only riding to, Benicia Industrial Park. And the driver is like, okay, but they can't monitor everybody where they get on and off. So there's a risk there. And right now, our preliminary analysis, when we look at the people where they're getting on and off, shows very low usage of this fare type. So either people are paying the full fare anyway and riding within the county, or we just don't have as big of a need, or there's just not a lot of people utilizing the service in that way. Okay, then we are also going to look at fare payment methods. We've done a pretty good job of already moving away from paper passes. We already eliminated all of our paper with the exception of day passes that are printed on the bus. We would like to move away from that. Most of our area regional agencies have all gotten rid of this. If you want to have a day pass, you either use Clipper or you use Token Transit. It makes it much easier for us. It would eliminate us having to have the pass reader on the buses. We wouldn't have to stock the paper. It's special paper with a mag stripe. It costs a little more. You've got to have inventory management. There's just a lot that goes along with it, and we really are looking hard in the next few years on what is our plan for fare boxes, because fare boxes that actually do all of this are getting extremely costly, and they're moving to cloud-based subscriptions, et cetera, and we really need to take a hard look at what is the needs, and can we move away from relying so much on these very, I would say, technologically robust fare boxes, if that's not really a need. Okay, so this is the fastest potential timeline for any kind of fare increase or changes, is April 1st. It's mostly driven on the fact that you have to notify Clipper at the first day of the quarter previous to your change. So if we want to tell Clipper by January 1st that we're changing, that means this board would have to vote on any increase or changes by the December board meeting. Also means holding our public comment period, holding our public hearing, et cetera. This would be tight. This is the fastest we could do it, and it becomes challenging because of the dual board approval process and the fact that consortium does not meet in October and there's no STA meeting in November. The next possible time would be a July 1st increase, which is also very possible. I wouldn't suggest going past that. We've been talking about this for a few years with all of the funding partners. Everybody's on board that this needs to happen. We just need to decide exactly what we're going to do and the timeline. So this is just to give you a sample of what steps are involved and what needs to happen to approve this. Okay, next steps for the September board meeting. We're going to come back with a full fare analysis and scenarios. We're going to bring feedback from our funding partners. We're going to discuss this at consortium. We're going to bring back potential timeline after we talk to our funding partners on what they think might be the best timing for this. And then we will be looking to you for feedback and guidance on the approval process, and we'll go from there. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Christina. Before I open it up, I just want to make the comment that we have to be very careful as we approach fare increases and recognize the balance between serving those disadvantaged and people who need the bus to get to and from work, groceries, medical, et cetera, and those infirmed and using mobility services at that low rate, and balance that against, obviously, the need for additional fare and the ability to continue to deliver that service. So it's a very delicate balance, and I appreciate this presentation, and I appreciate the number of public comment opportunities that you've built into the calendar. So with that, I'll just toss it over to Mayor Young, and then we'll move down the line.
So are you looking for comments now on this, or are we going to come back?
I can answer questions, but this is informational, so you're not supposed to be giving me any feedback necessarily.
All right, I'll hold my comments.
Okay.
It's informational. There could be discussion. There just can't be action. So.
Okay, and I'm looking at the clock, and I know we have a important closed session item, and I understand that Supervisor Mashburn may not be able to stay for much of it, so I don't know if we want to jump into that and wait for further discussion at this time. My one question is, do we still collect cash?
We do still collect cash.
And is that problematic with the drivers and having to give change and hold cash?
We never, no bus, no, we don't do change. Nobody does change. The only person I know of that's gone cashless is Fairfield. Not exactly sure how they were managed to do it, but they did it. I think it would be very difficult at this time, possibly in the future. But we don't give change. It's not a huge issue, other than, I will say, cash collections. The cost of cash collections is very high. At this point, because more people are using digital means of paying, there's less people using cash, but the armored car has gone up so much that I believe we're handing over about 25% of the cash we collect to the armored car company. It's pretty bad.
I would be in favor of getting rid of the day pass, the paper pass, the intercounty transfer rate. I think there's a lot of things that can be fixed on this, but I don't know if we have time to go into it now. But,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot more I can bring back to let you know about Clipper and all the discounts people get if they use Clipper, either the mobile app or the card. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah, okay.
Mayor Soros?
Yeah, I'll keep mine very brief as well. For the timeline, I'm thinking kind of pertinent to the conversation we just had, that we've got to be very thoughtful about this process and make sure the right stakeholders are engaged at the right times. And would we be open to a July 1st change?
Oh, absolutely.
So this is just confirming. I know you said this is the fastest possible.
The fastest possible.
So that, I think, would give us more time if we're thinking about when that workshop is. I think it has to get to the STA board before it starts going through the TAC and the consortium. I think that's what got us, that's what messed us up last time. If the STA board's the last place it goes, we're going to end up in the same doom loop we were in last time. So I think we've got to backwards map it. I'm looking forward to this discussion in September, and then we got to get it to either to that workshop or to the SDA board like as soon as possible after that.
Supervisor?
Is that on?
You're on.
Okay. I always get confused, the green and the red, but you know. So I agree. I just worry that we're making an awful lot of change to a lot of things all at one time, right? We're going to change routes, times, all these things that are going to affect our customers. And then we're going to, and on top of all that, we're going to raise the rate, right? And in all that, we're hopeful that we're going to increase ridership.
Right.
So I'm hesitant to do that when we think about the fact that the majority of the riders are folks who are transit dependent. And even a small increase is going to have a dramatic effect on them. And I don't want to lose ridership. So we have to be cognizant of that as we move forward with this and the timing of it when we're trying to initiate all that change at the same time. There's two pathways there. Do we just rip the bandage off and change everything at once? Or do we transition over time so that we don't have as dramatic an impact on our ridership?
Understood.
That's something the two boards will have to decide.
Councilmember?
Thank you so much. I don't want to repeat everything that's been said, but I do have a concern about when we talk about getting rid of cash payment. Just yesterday, for example, someone asked me for some money to get on the bus, and they didn't have a cell phone, So we want to be very careful about that demographic of what that looks like. Yes, a lot of us are up to date. Thank God for me that I have 100 grandchildren that can keep me up to date. But unfortunately, that's not everyone's case, if that makes sense. So we want to be mindful of that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we can move on. I think there's been direction on this. As far as 10A, the state legislative report, I'd like to move this to next meeting in the sense is this way we can move directly to a quick adjournment and move to closed session for a few moments for Supervisor Mashburn. Is there consensus?
I second it.
Okay. All right, then we are adjourned for 2 closed session, and then we'll come back. Thank you.
Just just for purposes of the record, it's closed session for conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code, Section 54956.9.
Good evening, AHLC members and staff. This is Manny. Just wanted to give you a heads up. I can't tell if the previous meeting participants are still in the closed session room behind you guys. I can't be there to check that. And I'm also running 2 other meetings right now simultaneously. So bear with me. Please have some patience. And yeah, can you give me a thumbs up if they're still back there? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so they'll probably have to come out and report out shortly. So they'll have to sit at the dais for that. I'm not sure if they're still going to report out, but from my understanding, they will be.